So, in my last video, I got a lot of crap for running a Holosun and a Streamlight on my rifle. So today I kind of wanted to try to redeem myself and show you guys my carry gun. This is my Gen 5 Glock 17 with a Holosun and a Streamlight. All right, so today I want to teach you guys what I like to call the Instagram drill. So, what you want to do, get your gun, put one round in the chamber, empty mag in the gun, okay? And then you got a mag on your belt with some extra rounds in it. What you're going to do is you're going to have your timer. You may or may not have a target beyond this way. You'll never know because I'm never going to show you. You're going to hit go on your timer. That's it, that's the Instagram drill. I may or may not have hit the target, you'll never know because I'm never gonna show you. You're also never gonna know how fast that was because I'm not gonna show you the timer either. All right, I'm gonna show you guys this really cool drill that I learned from Lucas Botkin, okay? Nice. Only a minute 30 seconds. Oh shit. I hit that boy on the first try. Get me on dude perfect. All right, cats and squirrels. Today, I want to talk about how I like to train. So through this video, I'm going to be using my pistol as an example, but these fundamentals still apply to pretty much every firearm that you're going to train with. I just personally think that a handgun is the hardest firearm to master, so for me, when I'm out working on fundamentals, it's usually with my pistol. So some of you might be asking yourselves, why do I need to train? Well, that's a really stupid hypothetical question that I just asked myself. You train because sucking sucks. Doesn't this kind of look like that one Eric Andre clip? We need to stop gun violence. Okay, so the first thing that you've got to understand when you want to get better at shooting is that you need to be able to admit to yourself when you suck. Now, it kind of sounds obvious when I say it out loud like that, but it's actually pretty difficult for some people to just admit that they suck at something. And I'm not shitting on them for that. I think that that's just human nature, that you don't want to just admit your own shortcomings. But if you actually want to get better at something, you have to be able to admit that you need to get better at that thing in the first place. There are times when my friends will ask me to kind of take them out shooting and help them get a little bit better, give them some pointers and stuff. And a lot of times when I'm out with them, you know, I like to push them to tell me why they suck. I like to have them tell me why they missed or why their draw sucks or why their grip sucks. Because when they can analyze it for themselves and tell themselves why they suck, then it's a lot easier for them to get better and fix it. Now, keeping with this trend of sucking, phrasing? The first thing that you really need to be able to do is find what you suck at. Now, I say that, and you might just say, well, I suck at shooting, as a general broad term, and while that might not be wrong, that's not going to help you get any better. So I might ask you, okay, what specifically do you suck at? Let's talk about pistols. When you're shooting a pistol, what do you suck at? And you might say, well, I suck with my grip, I suck at sight alignment, I suck at trigger control, I suck at reloads. So when you acknowledge that you suck at all of those things, it might be your instinct to go out and work on all of those things the next time you go to the range. This isn't actually the best way to do it. See, because I know that most of the people watching this video are men, And as a man myself, I can confirm that we suck at multitasking. So to get the most out of your range days, you need to pick one thing to work on. So I'm going to use myself as an example. Recently, I've been struggling a lot with my trigger control with my pistol. I have been very consistently pulling shots low left because I am kind of having a sympathetic movement in the rest of my hand when I pull the trigger that's pulling the gun down. So when I go out to the range and I say, okay, I suck at this, I'm going to focus on that one thing pretty much the whole time I'm at the range because it bugs me and I want to get better at it. Because of all the fancy shooting videos and stuff you see on the internet, you might think that when really good shooters go out to the range to train, they're setting up these long, complicated drills, long courses of fire with high round counts. In reality, that's not true at all. The way that these people got really good at shooting is they would go out on the range and they would pick something, like in my case, trigger control, and they would shoot hundreds of rounds focusing on only that one thing. So continuing with my example of my trigger control, I'm going to show you guys what it might look like when I come out here to train with this target behind me and how I'm focusing on trigger control and utilizing my time and my ammo to get better at shooting. So right here I have this target at 5 yards, and if I want to work on my trigger control, I don't need to add a bunch of extra stuff on top. I just need to focus on my trigger pull. So I don't necessarily need to draw from the holster. I can start here to compressed ready and just press out and think about my trigger pull. And the entire time I'm doing this, the only thing I'm thinking about is my trigger pull. So to show you guys what this might look like, I've got my timer here. I've got my gun. I'm going to start just like this. And when the timer goes off, I'm just going to come up onto the wall of the trigger and squeeze to the rear. And I'm just going to focus on not pulling the gun down, not moving any of the rest of my hand, only moving the trigger finger. And we're going to see how that goes. We'll just try it one time and see how that goes. Okay, fantastic. So that shot is right dead center in the target. That was perfect. I found my dot, just focused on that trigger pull, and it's great. Now in this situation, it's important to remember I'm not trying to be fast. Something that you guys need to understand about speed when it comes to shooting is that speed is a byproduct of proficiency. You don't start out trying to be fast and then figure the rest out later. You start out going slow and controlled and getting good muscle memory and getting good at all the basics. And as you get better at those basics, the speed comes after. So that's a mistake I see a lot of new shooters making is they want to go fast. They see the cool videos on YouTube, on Instagram of people shooting really fast and they want to be like that. So they try to go fast right away. And of course, the faster you go, the harder it is to get everything done correctly when you're shooting, so you're going to miss and it's going to have terrible recoil control, terrible groups. So when you come out to shoot, it's important that you focus on the movements themselves, on the specifics of your grip, of your trigger pull, whatever it is that you're specifically working on that day, and don't think about speed. You have the timer there to tell you when to go, but you're not worried about that time. You're not trying to go really fast. So once is lucky. Let's do it again. Okay. Again, pretty much dead center on the target, really good shot. I'll show you guys these hits in a minute so you know I'm not bullshitting you. One more. Okay, that one was bad. That one I kind of had a bad grip and was a little shaky and I kind of slapped the trigger because in that case I kind of wanted to get the shot off a little bit sooner than I was ready for, and that's what happens when you rush things a little too much and try to go fast. And I'm not perfect. That's still something that I'm struggling with all the time. I just got to tell myself to back off a little bit. Let's do it again. Perfect. Okay. Let me show you guys these hits. So this one low left is the one that I went a little too fast. The rest of these are extremely close, tight group in the middle of the target. That's really good. So that was an example of how I personally would work trigger control and how I have been working trigger control. Now that was 4 rounds, but realistically when I'm out here training something like this, I'm going to do that exact thing for 100 rounds, for 150, 200 rounds. I just do it over and over and over again. The more times you do it, the better you get. So something else that's really important to understand when you're training with your firearm is the concept of isolation. What I mean by that is if I'm out here working on my trigger control, then I don't need to worry about drawing the pistol. If I'm out here working on building my grip, I don't need to worry about reloading the gun. Basically, isolation is taking the very specific thing that you're out at the range to work on and just getting it down to its most simple form so that you can focus on that and not have to worry about messing up some other aspect of shooting that might affect what you're actually trying to focus on. So an example of that is just a second ago when I was shooting those shots working on my trigger control, I was starting from compressed ready because all I needed to do was come out, get on the wall of the trigger, and then squeeze the trigger to the rear. I didn't need to draw from the holster and worry about building my grip out and getting a proper sight alignment and all that stuff, because that's not what I'm working on at that moment. So you just want to cut out all of the stuff that doesn't directly pertain to what it is you're trying to work on at that exact moment. So I'm going to give you guys a couple examples of isolation. So let's say in this particular instance with this target behind me, I am focusing on my sight alignment. In all honesty, for this particular thing, because I'm focusing on the sights, I don't even need to shoot. This is something that I personally have worked on a lot with dry fire at home, because all you're doing is getting the muscle memory of bringing the gun up and finding your sights and make sure they're aligned properly. Now, of course, this pretty much is the exact same thing that I was doing with the trigger control that I was working on, but I'm changing what I'm focusing on. When I was working on the trigger control, I was focusing on the way my finger came into the trigger guard, the way I found the wall of the trigger, and the way I squeezed the trigger to the rear from that point without moving any of the rest of my hand. Those are all the things that I'm thinking about while I'm working on that. So while I might be doing the same motion working on sight alignment, I'm focusing on the sights and not the trigger this time. Again, we're going to start from just a compressed ready with the pistol. Now, I technically did just show this to you guys, so you might not want to see it again, but I like shooting and I want to shoot, so I'm going to do it again. Focusing on the sights. Awesome. Okay, let's do it again. Just thinking about making sure the gun is aligned and that my dot is touching right where I want. Now that particular situation kind of brings up a funny point, because that last shot I dropped pretty low because of crappy trigger control. Shocker, I know. But in this case, that's actually not a bad thing, because I wasn't focusing on trigger control right now. So did I do something wrong? Yes, I technically did. However, because it was something that I was not focusing on, I wasn't really thinking about, and it's not something that I was in that moment trying to do better, I don't actually care that I slapped the trigger right there, because the sight alignment felt good. So in this particular case, I don't care that I dropped that shot. All right, so now to give you guys another example of isolation, let's say that I'm working on reloads. So again, we just want to cut it down to the barest form possible. So I don't need to work from the draw. I don't even need to work from compressed ready. If really a reload is this very specific thing that I want to work on, I can start like this, ready to shoot. And as soon as the gun goes off, then I can do my reload rep. And if we're being honest, I don't even need to shoot a next shot. I recommend shooting a next shot just to get that practice in of rebuilding your grip from a reload, making sure you get that good grip and good sight alignment. But that technically is working on other things. So we'll use this as an example. My reloads, I have one in the chamber and an empty mag, and then I have the mag on my belt ready for the reload. So I'm going to start the timer. I'm going to start with my sight on the target. I'm going to miss the mag well, but you get the idea. Oh my God. I got to show you guys this. Those two bullets went through the same hole. My first two were this one and this one. Those second two both went through this hole. Was that skill or luck? We'll never know. All right, now I'm going to give you guys two different examples of the same thing. We're going to do a build drill from the draw. And I just want you guys to think to yourselves which one of these two is better. Okay, that was the first one. Now that was in a 2.15. Now, looking at the target here that you guys can't see, that was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. I'm not going to lie to you. I actually purposefully tried to go too fast for myself right there, and that is actually a really good build drill. But let me shoot the second one for you. Huh, that's kind of interesting. See, I'm making this video to teach you guys, and I'm learning stuff myself. It works out for both parties. Okay, just to show you guys here, this was my first bill drill. And we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So about like that size of a group. Now, for me, that's actually really good. I was expecting to shoot more like that size of a group. So I'm very happy with that. And it could be a fluke, you know, once is lucky, we never know. This is my second bill drill right here in the head. I pulled every single one of them low left, but it was very consistent low left, and you can see that's a very tight, awesome little group. Now, the point that I was gonna try to prove actually isn't proven very well by those two examples, because I think we can all agree that at this distance, with the faster time, the first bill drill was better. It was actually really good. However, if I shot the first group at the head like I shot the second group, I would have missed half those shots. So kind of the point I was trying to make here was that it's better to go a little bit slower and make sure you get good hits than it is to try to go fast. Now in this case, I've been out here shooting all day. I'm very warmed up, so I tried to push myself to go really fast, and I actually got lucky and had great form and had a great little group there for that first bill drill. But I can tell you that if that was like a cold start and I tried to go that fast, I might miss the cardboard altogether with some of those shots. So in a lot of these situations, of course, it's very subjective. It totally depends on your target size, your target distance, and target opportunity, whether you're gonna go slow or as fast as you can. But as kind of a general rule of thumb that I like to tell people, it's better to go a little bit slower and make sure you get good hits than it is to try to go as fast as you can. Okay, so just to recap this whole video, when you want to go out and train and get better at shooting, first thing you got to do, admit that you suck. Second thing you got to do, go shooting and find very specific things that you suck at. Number 3, break those things that you suck at down to their most basic form with isolation, isolate them out, and find ways that you can practice just those very specific things, and then work on one of those things at a time until you're proficient enough to be happy with that, and then move on to the next thing. Number 4, when you find something that you need to work on, go out and spend an entire range day working on that one thing. 100 rounds, 200 rounds, 300 rounds doing that one thing. And number 5, speed is a byproduct of proficiency. It's better to go slower and get good hits and have good form than it is to try to go as fast as you can. And the better you get at the basics, the faster you'll get naturally without trying. Now, I kind of threw this video together last minute, so I didn't put a ton of thought into the things that I was going to break down in this video. So if you guys have some more specific questions about certain parts of shooting, go ahead and leave it in the comments down below. I do read through the comments. I'd like to respond to a lot of them. So if you have a question that I feel like I have a good answer to, I'd love to answer it for you. And this was kind of a very broad video, just kind of about general training. I'm gonna make more videos in the future about more specific aspects of training, things like sight alignment, reloads, trigger control, very specific stuff like that. So if you have something like that that you'd like to see broken down in a more specific way, go ahead and leave that in the comments down below as well. And if you guys did enjoy this video, it would mean a lot to me if you would go down and leave a like on it. That shows YouTube that you liked what you saw, and maybe that'll get them to show this video to more people. Maybe. And also, if you want to make me feel more obliged to spend my hard-earned money on ammo to keep making these videos, then you better subscribe.